Hi there, everyone. I am going to invite Nat Evans. We are having an artist chat with him today, so let me get that started. Nat is the creator behind this month's music film called My Old Friend.
Okay, super fast.
How's it going?
Well, I figured maybe a good place to start would be, can you just tell us about kind of your background? Like, how did you come into, I would say like music, but making in general, and how did you branch out in these different ways? Because you make in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, well, I mostly just that's just what I've always done. Ever since I was a little kid, I was always doing visual art and also playing music, and so it's just always been a part of my life that it operated that way. And like many people in the classical music world, you go to music school and you think like, this is how things are done, and I'm going to be playing in an orchestra, and classical music looks like this, and I pretty much immediately realized, like halfway through, that was a terrible idea, and so, I kept writing music, but then over time, I found that my work, because there are these other extra ideas that go beyond just sound that are, at the very least conceptual, if not involving other elements, that the art world was often a better home for my work. And so through opportunities, um, working with museums and galleries, then it just sort of blossomed into being I blossomed into being more of a multidisciplinary artist than just a composer. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then you decided to make My Old Friend Death. So what made you want to take on death as a topic? A lot of people avoid it, and what made you want to go there?
For me, uh, I think that part of it is just looking around at the way that a lot of Western society views death and seeing it as something that is kind of a taboo subject,
Hmm.
or that people deny the reality of death in their own lives, but not just their own death, which is a big part of it, but also, our food system, like that if you eat meat, that there is an animal that dies, plants that we eat, the ecosystems that exist, that we grow food within. Death is just wrapped up in our existence as a totality. And also being a Buddhist, it's different from Christianity as opposed to something where it's like you are facing at the edge of a cliff when you die, and then maybe you go somewhere else. It's more that looking at the hard truth of existence is impermanent, and that's being a Buddhist. That's just a big part of how I perceive the world, is that everything is impermanent, and yeah. So, but the pandemic has also been a big part of it, because suddenly everybody is confronted with the very real possibility that that they could die in this one particular way that is suddenly much more tangible than than most people have previously experienced. Yeah. So
So you wrapped it into your piece.
yeah.
Um, yeah. And I was wondering about when you were making, so I've watched the film like probably five or more times, and it's got the beautiful experience of, well, wait, let me hold on a second. Could you describe it to everyone who has not seen it yet, before we kind of go and talk about something no one knows about?
Right. Well, so, this platform, Music for Gamebox, is ostensibly about presenting music, but they're presented more as a it's not exactly a piece of video art, and it's not exactly a concert film in any way. So for me, I conceptualized it as something similar to my work Flyover Country, where I'm on stage and I'm speaking and storytelling, and then there is live music that's happening and various video that occurs. In Flyover Country, it was like almost like an installation view of multiple video channels. At any rate, so this is following the same kind of path that that Flyover Country did. That it's all those things. It's video, it's music, and writing that I did and that I'm speaking. But they're all interconnected to each other very intimately.
Yeah, and that's kind of, it's very apparent. So like I was saying, I've seen this 5 or more times, and every time I watch it, I notice some other thread between things, and it uses a lot of imagery. How do I say it? It's not like surprising. You're not like, oh, I've never seen that before. It's not about like this thing you've never seen before. But what's really special is that you're like, oh, I've never seen it in that context, in that light, with those kind of shades of meaning from all of the different elements in it. And I was wondering, how did all of that imagery and sound and storytelling come together for you? Was it really like planned out ahead of time, or was it more intuitive, or how did you get there?
Well, for me, I kind of view death as sort of being on this sort of thread of tracing my own lineage through my ancestors, and also lineage through ancestors within Zen Buddhism, and looking at kind of the internal and external landscape of what we are all going through, being beings that exist, but also how we are all simultaneously creating the world around us, moment by moment as it unfolds. So I just started investigating those things. How are they all interconnected? So at myself, besides being a musician, I'm also a farmer, and so I looked at concepts of agriculture where I grew up and how my ancestors are wrapped up in it, not only in the Dust Bowl, but like in Indiana where I grew up, you can see all around you the kind of ecological destruction from agriculture. There's part of it that is a lot of my work just in general, and this is a larger work, but the one that I'm presenting with you guys doesn't involve this as much, but a lot of my work has to do with dreams also. And so I record a lot of dreams that I have, and they kind of inform a lot of my work, even if they are perhaps subtle actors in the background. So that's another part of it too. So I don't know. I just started doing some writing and investigating surrounding these ideas, and then from there, the piece just kind of took place, or it just sort of arose. I guess, I don't know. Yeah.
And with the footage, was it film that you had collected before creating My Old Friend Death, and you brought it in, or was it stuff you went out to film for this specifically?
I kind of have like a rolling shot list in my mind, and so when I would see something that sort of fit that when I'm out and about in the world, then I would film it. For the most part, with the exception of the smoke at the end, which I formally filmed that part. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a sense from the way it's filmed that that it's just a part. It feels like we're going on, like we're arriving at places with you, not that you're. And it's hard to like say, but when things are like really, really like I am going to film this river right now, in this really kind of like set up the shot or whatever, it felt more like you were at a river and you filmed it for us and we were there with you. So,
Yeah.
so it's interesting to hear you had kind of this shot list, and then when you arrive somewhere, that's really you can really sense that, I feel like, from the way
Good.
the video feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us about this kind of larger piece that you're creating that this film is a part of?
Yeah, I mean, my intention with it is to perform it live. I have asthma, so I have been very hesitant to go into performing in live situations for my own safety. Haven't gone to a lot of shows in the last couple of years, and I think I've only performed once indoors. And so, I mean, like many people, I mean, some people are out and about, like whatever, but I'm not. Anyway, so it will be an evening length work, and uh, it will be, I don't know. It'll be a lot, like I was saying about dreams. A lot of this piece and Flyover Country will kind of operate on dream time. I think it comes through in the film too, that it just sort of like, roves around in a non-linear path of the unconscious mind. And yeah, so I feel like I got off track from answering your question.
Well, so it will be a live evening
Yeah.
length. There'll probably be
Yeah.
maybe projection and storytelling, similar like you mentioned in Flyover Country. Will there be live music, do you think, too?
Yeah, there'll be, and though I'll have like one or two live musicians that's performing with me too. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Lori Goldston plays cello on there, and she's located in Seattle. Will Hayes plays guitar on this piece, and he lives in New York. So, yeah. So we'll see how the live stuff shakes out, but yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be some live elements.
Yeah. You mentioned how kind of, I think you were saying kind of like dream order, like that there's kind of this wandering almost, and maybe that's not the fair word, through these ideas that will be in the live version, but also is in the film. And it reminds me of a phrase I think I wrote to you in an email, that it's like it's a really lovely film to listen to, and I mean that in that I feel like the visuals are so balanced with the sound. It's not like it's like you can move so freely between all of those modes, and that they're all kind of happening at the same time too, instead of like a film that has a soundtrack or a music that happens to have visuals. So beautifully integrated.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to be a totally immersive experience for people in that way. So I'm glad that it hits the mark for you anyway.
For me, definitely for me. Can you talk to us more about, specifically about your farming now and your family's history of farming?
Yeah, my family has been farming here in one way or another, since 1710. So like 12 generations of people. Um, and So I grew up, in a small town, rural area, and like my dad is a botanist and runs an apple orchard now. So I was always around that. My grandpa had like a 2.5 acre market garden and sold at farmers market. My great grandparents had like more of what people think of like the family farm, of having chickens and cows and growing everything for themselves, and on back to the generation. So it's just sort of been my whole life has just always been around that kind of stuff, and then I started incorporating a lot of food into my to my events. So doing things like sound dinners, where I would grow all this food and then prepare the food with food, or prepare food with ingredients that I had grown, and then incorporate it and pair it with different sound pieces and music that was performed live throughout the evening, or different events that involved plants just in general that I grew or acquired. And yeah, so it felt almost like kind of a natural progression of my life. And in a lot of ways, I just sort of view it as all as one big practice that I'm doing. It's just sort of farming and music and everything. It's all one for me. Yeah. But I realized when like yesterday I went to something with a bunch of farmers and I realized, oh, these are totally different worlds. They're than music people, like, wow, you know. So it's kind of funny. I view it all as one, but they, generally are quite separate. So yeah, that's just how it is for me. Yeah,
And
but
you,
it's very important to me though. The sense of ancestors and doing something that relates so a deep time level to my family is like deeply meaningful for me.
yeah, and you farm with it's quiet land farms now,
Yeah,
right?
my farm's called Quiet Land Farm, and it's just me. It's not like anybody else, but that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those were my questions. Is there anything else you want to say about my old friend Death today?
Um, I think that I think that people who know my work will probably find it to be very much in line with other things, and people who don't, I feel like it's a pretty soft introduction to it because it's just a film you can watch, and yeah, 19 minutes goes by pretty quickly, I hope.
Very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. I can attest
Yeah.
to that. Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's a very deeply meaningful work, so I hope folks will check it out. Meaningful on a personal level to me, so I hope people will check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for it. I know I've lost people in the pandemic, and it's hard to, be when you are confronted with death to also live in a culture that doesn't want to talk about it. So I'm really grateful that we get to have your art as space for that, to move through those feelings and to experience it. So thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I wanted to talk about in relation to death is sort of you talk about with honoring, I guess honoring that death has occurred. One of the things I think a lot about in regards to kind of climate change that we're going through, and there's kind of some talk about man-made climate disasters that my family's wrapped up in the film, but then that we're also all complicit in currently, is almost how do you mourn the death of ecosystems, and how do we mourn people dying in these types of ways that are new to us, and so there are aspects of the film that are recreating essentially recreating a memorial service as it is experienced externally, but also internally from a Buddhist perspective. And so I guess that's another aspect of it that I hope that people can consider is how can we mourn these things and give them their due time, and all beings their due time when they die, from like a insect or a bird that goes extinct to an entire ecosystem that's just like wiped away. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, well, and not just for kind of abstract reasons of giving, we want to honor things, but also like when you just ignore, it doesn't go away from inside of us either. It gets stuck up. So,
Right.
yeah, I think art is really well suited to some of that, at least.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you really so much
Yeah.
for
Thank
this.
you.
And I cannot wait for people to see it, to watch on demand as many times as you want. And multiple viewings are great for this piece. Not every video needs multiple viewings, but yours definitely does.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much.
All right. I'll see you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.